Maybe here. I don't know anymore. Let's try this. Looks like a few bluegill around some little brush. But it is 3 p.m. folks, and I'm about to give up. But I do want a quick little video, just a few bluegill. Is that too much to ask? I did an amazing video here just 2 days ago, over there, in the middle of the lake. Those fish are completely gone today. It's like somebody dropped a nuclear bomb. Everything on that side of the point is completely gone today. And if anything, the weather is nicer today. What could have possibly happened? Fishing. Oh man, and I lost it. Is that a fish? No. Ah, man, strong line. Now you're strong. Man, that was hard to break for first time. Polyester feels so strong because I snagged. 0 fish, 1 jig down. Alright, let's try this orange color. Orange is a little bit easier to see. I'm gonna have to tie a new dangle here in a minute, but not right now. Alright, Mr. Orange Dangle, give me a few bluegill. Fishing. Maybe. It's not gonna be one of these that make the Sunday morning Times front page. It's not too bad. I've caught smaller. I'll be the first to admit I've caught smaller than this. And I'm still a little bit upset. I didn't tell you, but I'm upset that I lost the black on black dangle because I see the little stump there and I went and snagged it. What's the point of having a live scope when you throw on top of the stump and snag it anyway? But okay, it is just a jig. Here's one more. Oh, that is a fish. That's not a snag. That's a nice fish on the orange dangle. You know, I only have a fixed float with me today. Very weird colored fixed float. My daughter colored it. It was one of these floats that I get completely white. I just test the buoyancy of the body. You know, the factory sends me some unpainted. That's a nice crappie. And my daughter painted one of them. And I thought, what the hell, I'll use it. Should start selling some hand-painted floats from my daughter. Sometimes, even if they're ugly, people like that. That is a nice crappie. That's a 12-incher. Who wants to bet? Send me an email, tell me you wanted to bet. That is a 12-inch crappie. Send me an email, I'll catch it again and I'll measure it. Alright. That's not a bad start if we don't count the lost black on black dangle. This stump is like 10-12 feet. I'm wondering if I can fish 10 feet deep with the float, but it's a fixed float. But I'm wondering if I can fish 10 feet deep anyway. That way I will not lose another dangle, if you know what I mean. I'll just dangle on top of the stump. I'm gonna have to, maybe I'll try just a few casts. Let me just try one cast. Nothing else to do this video anyway. Don't really have a topic or anything to say. Let's just try to fish 10 feet deep with a F100 float. That's an F100. It's the same like the chubby floats, but I made them a smaller size. I actually, to tell you the truth of this rig, and it has a small wrinkled, shriveled jig head, very small. It's not even a BG one. It's a tiny hook, size 14. I wanted to catch one tiny fish from the creek by our house for the aquarium, but I failed. Remember, before you move the float up and down, look at this float color. Before you move the float up and down, wet the line and then move it slowly. Otherwise you're gonna wrinkle the line. You can do whatever you want. Don't say I didn't tell you. Wow, let's see how we're gonna cast now. Give it a shot. Oh, casting is no problem. And I can see it beautifully. It's a little bit too high though. I need another 2 feet down. I think it will work. Because on my boat I sit higher than the water. And because the wind is in my back, so the casting distance is not going to be a problem. Look at this. Can you even see? That's 10 feet, might be more. That was kind of weird, but I think it's far enough. You know, I can let some free line and the wind will take it away. The beauty of fishing with a boat in the middle of the lake. No? Oh! Fish. Not a bad fish. Not a big fish either. Be careful not to reel up all the way and hit the eye with the guide. If you over reel, you will rip the eyelet of the float out of the float. Now if you do that, that's not fatal. Ate the tail, come on man. If you do that, don't worry, just keep your calm. You did not lose the eyelet. The eyelet has nowhere to go. It's still somewhere on the line. Make sure you don't lose the eyelet. Here is what you do. You go home, you puncture a hole with a needle where the existing hole from the eyelet is. It's important to do this because if you just put glue, it's not gonna go in that hole, because I've tried. That hole is so small that it's impossible to get glue down into the hole. So what I do to fix these ripped off eyelets is I make the hole a little bit bigger with a needle, then shove the hole full of glue. The glue that I sell is the black and blue crazy glue. That one is waterproof and it's soft, it's elastic. That's the glue you want there. And because the hole is now a little bit bigger, it's easy to put glue in the hole. And then when you put the eyelet, it kind of squirts some of the glue out of the hole. Let it dry and it will be good as new. Don't worry, if you do what I tell you, you will save your float. You didn't lose it even if you ripped the eyelet out of it. Okay, let's make one more cast. Man, this Legalis, this is the 2023 Legalis, is just so much smoother for some reason than the brand new Iprimi that I just bought from Japan, which is supposed to be just a overpriced Legalis. But you think when it's overpriced, they would put, I don't know, better grease or something, just assemble it with more care. But the Iprimi that I got, it doesn't even look that much nicer than this, to tell you the truth. The Iprimi that I got does not feel as good as this Legalis, even though they're both Legalis. They have one extra bearing inside the line roller, but I sell these bearings anyway. And it has bearings in the knob, but I sell those bearings too. Much cheaper. Just you can buy 2 bearings for $3. You don't need to spend $150 plus Trump's taxes and tariffs. I don't know how much money I paid for that Iprimi. I don't want to know because it's embarrassing. And I don't even like the reel right now. I paid way too much money for that Iprimi. But okay, I'll try to fix it. I will open it. I'll put my own grease. The reel doesn't seem to have any defect, any scratching or anything like that. It just doesn't feel buttery. That's all. Why doesn't a brand new reel feel buttery? This is all I'm fishing with. Tiny little Berkeley gulp minnow, but not the gulp minnow, but the power bait minnow. It's smaller, but the jig head is smaller too. I just wanted to catch a tiny fish for my aquarium, but the kids bought some bettas. So we have bettas now. I told them as soon as the bettas die, I'm getting some bluegill or some kind of sunfish, whatever I catch. But yeah, that's why I have such a tiny jig head under the float right now. You don't need such a tiny jig head for fishing for bluegill. I just wanted to catch some creek chub or some minnow, anything that's really small. For bluegill, using such a tiny jig that I'm using right now, all you're gonna do is gut hook and kill 10% of the fish. But we're not gonna catch very many fish today, so don't worry about that. Plus I'm gonna switch in a little bit. I just wanna, I don't know, experiment with this. Anybody there at all? Man, this float is, that's a bite. Is that a fish? Fish, and it's a crappie. On this tiny little, it's like a skin of a Berkeley minnow. It's like a skin of a fish. Look, 10 feet deep with an 8-foot rod. Is this the 8-foot rod? Let me tell you right now. 7'6" rod. This is the 7'6" presso. Cannot reel anymore. 7'6" presso. I'm fishing 10 feet deep. And it's 10 feet because look, I have 3 feet under the rod. Is this 3 feet? Now look, it's more than 3 feet. Maybe I'm fishing 11. Look, this is more than 3 feet. Let me go put a fresh Berkeley minnow though, because this one not only lost the tail, but also I fished it, I don't know, a month ago. That was before we got our bettas, and it's kind of dried up and it really is shriveled. It feels terrible. At least I want to put a fresh Berkeley minnow. Give me a second here. I don't have here those. They're not in here. Yeah, I don't have those Berkeley things. In that case, we're gonna put power bait worm, and I'm gonna cut this guy with the scissors because it has no tail. So I'm gonna cut this with the scissors to give it a little bit of some kind of action. You know what I mean? There you go. That's what I'm gonna put on the tiny size 14 hook. I don't know. I think it will work. Panfish is not very picky. Alrighty. Just far enough. Let's see if they like my new Berkeley power bait. It should work. It should work great. Just a little bit of tip. One guy asked me, why don't you overload your floats so only the antenna sticks out like the British? That's what the British do. I agree. I have about 0.5 gram of extra buoyancy in the float. If I sell you a 1 gram float, the float is not gonna sink at 1.1 gram. The float is gonna sink at around 1.5 gram. But of course, not every float is exactly the same, because you made these floats from wood, but the wood, folks, is not a homogeneous material. This is natural wood. It's not a synthetic material. Somewhere the density of the wood is a little bit higher. Somewhere the density of the wood is a little bit lower. So every float will be just a little bit different. So instead of sinking at 1 gram, they will sink, let's say, at 1.4 or 1.6 maybe gram. But he was like, why don't you overload them so only the antenna sticks out like the British? But look at what I'm doing now. It's hard to see, but when I tap the float kind of moves and immediately recovers because it has extra buoyancy. The extra buoyancy makes the recovery faster. Without that, if you don't have at least a little bit extra buoyancy, I have fished with those British floats for a long time, and I intentionally underloaded them, because if you put the load that they tell you to put, then when you move them, they're not made to fish like we fish. They're not made to twitch. If you move them and the float goes on an angle, it takes a long time to recover. They have very slow recovery, which I hate. I don't like this slow recovery. I like a peppy float. I want the float after the bite. I want the float to recover quickly. I still don't want it to be big like an egg, like the thill floats, but I want it to recover quickly. So you need just a little, it's a very precise, look how quickly it recovers. And it's in default position already. You twitch, it goes, moves, and it's back to default position, ready for the, signaling the next bite. It just gives me satisfaction to have this reasonable recovery rate. Now you can't make it too much extra buoyancy, because then when the fish bite, they feel the lure is attached to something. And you better catch them, because if you don't, they're not gonna bite a second time. Now that said, if you want to fish like the British, you can put 1.25 gram on one of my 1 gram floats, and there you go, you're fishing like the British. I sell 0.25 gram olives. Just add an extra olive and you'll be fishing like the British. But keep in mind, the British don't fish like us. They don't twitch. The Brits don't twitch. The way they fish is they dump 10 pounds of bait right where my float is, and then they get a 20-foot rod, and they go and they vertically drop right on top of all of the chum. And now the float is not going to be moving. They're not going to be twitching. The float will be vertically suspended right on top of the 10 pounds of chum. So for them it's okay to perfectly load the float, because they're not going to twitch. There is no recovery for them. It's not in the equation. And look, I'm fishing in wind now, but they don't fish in wind. They fish these small decorative handmade lakes that are only 4 or 5 feet deep. So it's very different fishing conditions. I'm sure this is way more than anybody wanted to know, but you should know that I take floats very seriously, and my floats are exactly the way that I want them to be. They're like this for a reason. Come on, anybody there? Huh? Fish. Well, the first cast. All right. Well, the first cast after, you know what I mean. Yeah, he liked the split tail Berkeley worm. I have to lift it like this because the rod is not long enough. Hey, that's a decent bijik. 7 3/4, I would say. Thank you, bijik. Oh, come on, one more. One more and I move. I think we need to move, folks. I cleaned this stump pretty good. I think this is all we can squeeze, like literally squeeze out of this stump here. All right, give me a minute. I want to catch a few more fish. Let me move down just a little bit, find a few more fish and catch a few more fish. This is how I put the wind and the sun in my back. I'm a little bit too deep here, otherwise I just used the talon, but the talon didn't reach today. The water is, as I told you, 39 degrees. I don't want to go on the bank. Alright, I'm gonna do this even though I don't like targeting single or double fish like this. See? The fish is gone before the jig even can get there. Fish, really? That's not the fish I targeted. That's a different fish that just wanted a purple dangle. Little crappie. Of course crappies will want a purple dangle. Oh, come here, purple dangle. Here we go. The sun is a little bit to my right now. I can kind of look that way. Huh? Capik? Yeah. Here running. Let me hit spot lock here. I like this spot. Little bijik. Somebody is texting me. Little bijik, but hey. I am happy to have you aboard of USS. Let go of dangle. Let go, yeah. Thanks, buddy. Fishing. One more on the purple dangle. Come here, fishing. Here we go. When you find them, come on, let go of purple. Let go of dangle. When you find them, they will cooperate. Oof. He jumped back out of the water. He's gonna go find his girlfriend and he'll be like, "You are not gonna believe what happened to me today." Fish! Fishing! Man, the weather is amazing, but we're running out of daylight, folks. And I wanna load the boat on the trailer with plenty of daylight. I don't want to be loading when the sun is kind of almost there and I'm a little bit in a hurry. I don't like that. That's when I bump the boat in the trailer and scratch something. I like to go slow and load it with plenty of time and just don't have any rush at all. But man, it was a short fishing trip, folks. Which way is better? No giants today, folks, but we caught a few fish. We had some fun with the float, fishing 10 feet deep with a 7.5 foot rod. In the end, for a 2-hour fishing trip, I'm absolutely content with it. I had a long hiatus, folks, because of the weather and my wife being in Vietnam. I was very busy and a little bit sick. But I feel better now. The weather is definitely much better now, so the fishing videos are definitely gonna get more frequent now. But thank you for watching this one, and I will see you soon. Bye bye, folks.